Sports Interactive, the developers behind Football Manager, have given us a first look at the new match engine for FM24, including completely new ways of playing with your tactics with the addition of positional play and also some new roles being added. In this video, we're going to break down the match engine footage, give you our thoughts on it, let you know what we think, and of course, when the real game comes out, we'll still show you how the match engine really looks, because of course, these clips are provided by Sports Interactive, show specific scenarios, but maybe don't show the full picture with the match engine, so we'll cover that when the real game comes out. But for now, these are the only clips we've got, so we're going to use it as a little preview for FM24, as well as breaking down the features for you guys that were announced. We've got one feature reveal left, the one that a lot of you have been waiting for, which will be the set pieces. That'll likely come today or more likely tomorrow, I would have thought, but yes, we'll break all that down when it comes out. For now though, let's focus on this. If you do enjoy the video, smash the like button for us, subscribe for more, and more importantly with these videos, let us know in the comments your thoughts about this match engine. What do you think to it? Do you think it looks cool? Are you excited for these additions? We've been quite open and honest on the channel here about what we think about the features so far. I thought the first feature reveal was great. The next two were okay, but maybe not world changing. I think this, especially for fans of making their own tactics and whatnot, this is probably going to be one of the best things they've announced. The addition of positional play, if they've got it right, will really bring a new element to Football Manager. There is also the worry that with this new addition to the tactics, that there might be more ways to break the game or cheat the game, but hopefully that's all been tested. I'm sure it has been. But yes, truer football motion, match authenticity, and positional play. We'll break it down and check out the videos for you if you don't know what these things mean. As it mentions here, Manchester City boss has been a pioneer really of positional play and has come to the forefront recently using it with his Man City team, where you saw the likes of John Stones crossover into midfield. We had it a few years ago where Cancelo was kind of tucking inside from that fullback position as an inverted wing back. We've also seen recently Kyle Walker tucking in as part of the back three. Things that obviously other teams have done, not just Man City, but it's really came to prominence through their style of play. And as it mentions here, positional play is about trying to make numerical advantages using passing triangles and diamonds. Now, I'm no tactical expert, but my understanding of it basically is that a player isn't necessarily locked down to the position and the role that he's playing, depending on where the ball is and whether you're in possession or out of possession. These players can go from being kind of a right back to a central defensive midfielder or something along those lines, as we've seen with John Stones recently in that Man City team. So it's all about using their intelligence to move into the right areas of the pitch. Obviously, under your guidance, you'll be telling them that they're allowed to do this, and that allows for more options on the ball and allows a team to progress the possession up towards a final third. The first example it gives is, look at this typical 4-2-3-1 where we've got a Segundo Volante in that defensive midfield position alongside a ball-winning midfielder. In front of them is Phil Foden as an advanced playmaker. Now, what we're going to see in this video is how they can interchange between themselves now, because if this Segundo Volante travels into the midfield, goes further forward, often they will push into that number 10 area, which usually would cause two people to be in the same spot and they kind of get in each other's way. But now the players have the intelligence, so Foden or De Bruyne, whoever it is behind Haaland, will have the intelligence to move out of the way a little bit to allow that Segundo Volante to come into that position. And it mentions here it kind of creates that 4-1-4-1 shape. So, you know, Rodri would be left behind in front of the defence, and then these midfielders kind of split behind the striker into a 4. And we're going to see that in this video here. Now, I've checked out these videos. We'll break down what I've noticed when I see them. Like I say, these are all clips provided by Sports Interactive, so it's not necessarily a full representation of what it's really like in the in-game engine. These will be specific scenarios, but if these kind of things can be replicated often, then it definitely is great for the future of the game in terms of tactics. Even with the new engine coming in FM25, this introduction of positional play is really going to change the way that people make their tactics. So you'll see, we've got a back four looking shape-ish here, with Gvardiol, Stones, I assume Diaz and Walker, right? What we're looking for here is the movement between a Segundo Volante and then Kevin De Bruyne. So let's check out how it works now. I think we've got Bernardo Silva kind of playing in this Segundo Volante role. He receives it in the midfield. You'll see we've got a left winger, an attacking midfielder, striker, right winger. Obviously, maybe different roles to what I'm saying, but you get the gist. There's a player out wide on either side, and then a man behind the striker. Bernardo Silva is starting deeper, but you'll see now he is going to start progressing forward, which forces De Bruyne, who would normally take up this number 10 spot, to come wider, and it will create that 4-1-4-1 shape that we mentioned earlier. So Rodri will sit back here, Bernardo Silva goes forward, and you can see right here, obviously Haaland's tucked in, but we have got that 4 attacking midfielder line, and now Haaland will eventually move forward into the front of that, and suddenly we've gone from playing a 4-2-3-1 to what is basically 4 defenders, Rodri, 4 midfielders, and Haaland up front. You will see there's a bit of progression from John Stones there. We'll talk more about that later. Now, this is really going to change the way a lot of us make our tactics. We often now, I imagine, won't be using the same old roles over and over again. We'll be looking to use these roles that can kind of interchange between positions. But one thing it also mentions is your wide players, whether that's inside forward, inverted winger. Normally, of course, they're tucking inside or inverting to try and get into the middle to get some chances off or put some crosses in. But when we see Bernardo Silva come forward, naturally they split into that 4-1-4-1 shape and eventually push out wider without even thinking about it. Whereas before they'd be looking to cut inside and kind of getting each other's way. Now they're holding their width and creating that nice shape along the front line there that allows for that chance. It also mentions halfback, the role that you can use in defensive midfielder on Football Manager. They're now going to be able to take up that centre-back position, either left or right, depending on where they are in the pivot, in your central defensive position. So they can actually drop back and become part of that defence. We then get on to the new role that's been added into the game, which is the inverted fullback. Like it says here, popularised by Kyle Walker. What this fullback will do is kind of tuck in to become part of that back three. That will allow the other player on the wider end of the pitch to have a bit more free rein in the way they move. So for example, if the ball is on the left and Kyle Walker is that inverted fullback in that right back spot, the left player can progress forward and then we'll form a back three basically with Diaz in the middle and Akanji and Walker, as it mentions here, functioning like wide centre backs that we're used to. That gives the defenders a little bit more licence to move, the one that's free. At the same time, if you made Gvardiol or the left back at Man City the inverted fullback and then you had Walker on a different role, it would allow Walker to progress forward a little bit more as the others form a back three, which allows you just a little bit more tinkering when you are making your shape. So good to have another role, and this can be used in conjunction with another role that we're going to talk about now, which is the inverted wing back, which has been changed a little bit. It's supposedly a little bit more intelligent now, and we'll have a look at how that plays out in the in-game engine in a second. Don't worry, by the way, it's not just tactical stuff that we're looking at here. They do have some clips later of general match engine play that we can use to see how the game is potentially going to look. But what it mentions now is the defensive midfielders are now more suited to recognising the movement of that inverted wing back. That was the one that was popularised a few years ago by João Cancelo, really. What will now happen when your inverted wing back gets the ball is he's much more likely to join up in that kind of defensive midfield role. Let's say it was Rodri and Kovacic playing there normally, Kovacic as that segundo volante, and you had John Stones maybe in that inverted wing back role. Now John Stones will push up, become part of that midfield with Rodri, which will give more licence for someone like Kovacic or whoever's playing that role to move forward, and it creates the 3-2 shape that it mentions here. Now we did actually see that in the previous clip that we looked at, but we'll check it out here as well. Let me make sure we've got it on some good settings here. You don't want to be seeing this in 480p. Here we go. So here's our shape to start off with. Obviously not mentioning their specific roles, but we've got a right back, 2 centre backs, a left back, 2 defensive midfielders, attacking midfielder, left wing, right wing, and striker. Now what we're going to see here is a bit of movement where we're going to see a few things work together. It says inverted wing back and inverted full back. So our inverted wing back round here is going to join into the midfield. They'll link up alongside Rodri to create a 2 in front of our back three, because remember, Kyle Walker is now going to tuck in and become part of that defensive unit, and basically to form 2 wide centre backs, which will be number 24 down here and Walker, with Ruben Diaz as that linchpin between the two. Meanwhile, our inverted wing back will join it with Rodri in that 2 as mentioned, allowing other players to progress. So let's watch how it plays out here. Ruben Diaz takes a free kick. We see our number 5 here. I assume that's John Stones. I don't know the numbers at City, but he has now moved across. Yeah, there you go, John Stones. We have got that free shape at the back. Walker tucking in. There's our 2 defenders alongside him. We've got Stones and Rodri next to each other. Now, I can't remember exactly how it goes, but in theory, that should allow for the player that we've got our cursor over here to move forward. If you can see my cursor, there you go. He is going. It's the blonde guy at the top. I'm assuming De Bruyne. But yes, there we go. We've got the movement, and you're seeing now, there's your attackers. There's your 2 shape with Stones and Rodri, and then we've got a back three, one of them off camera there. Again, I think this looks great, and once more you will notice those wide players that are looking to usually come inside will start to spread out a little bit wider here to create those spaces. Still getting inside like Grealish is there to score the goal, but when they do see those midfielders running forward, they are more likely to split and hold their position out wide. So we've kind of added that John Stones role to the game. It's something that a lot of us theorised would be coming soon, and it's great that they have added it with not such little time, because these ideas have been around football for a long time, but it is just cool to have these extra ways to play, and now that we've seen it in real life, we're all going to be trying to implement it in our games, I am sure. We've got some suggestions there of some chill drive aesthetic music. I'm telling you right now, none of this is my recommendations. I don't know whose they are. So yes, building out the back with a libero. This is where John Stones is mentioned once again, the John Stones role. The libero, of course, did already exist in Football Manager, but like the inverted wingback, it has now been enhanced to play a little bit better and a little bit more true to life, using this positional play to kind of adapt their role on the fly. Available in a back four or a back three with three central defenders, the libero will move up into defensive midfield the same way that inverted wingback would. Your other central defenders will adapt to that libero stepping out and becoming part of the midfielders, so they'll alter their positioning. It does mention, because the libero is trying to move into central midfield, if you also have an inverted wingback on the same side trying to do a similar job, you will see that the inverted wingback takes priority in that position to try and create that extra man in the midfield. And it says the changes to this libero mean that there'll be more greater fluidity and dynamism to your tactics on match day. So let's take a look at this. This is the last tactical kind of video we're going to watch. Again, let's just change this so we've at least got it in 1080p, not 480. But here we go. We've got our back four here currently. Let's take this back because it lagged for a second. But there's our back four. John Stones being our libero. Then we've got Rodri and the other defensive midfielder. De Bruyne is dropping back currently. Two wide players and a striker. We should see though, as De Bruyne pushes forward, there you go. You've just seen the movement there into midfield. This is a 1 minute clip, so bear with us. It's a long one. But you'll see Stones is slowly thinking about coming into midfield. Then he drops back to form this back four, but as we progress, look at him moving up now. Now you'll see we've got that 3-2 shape yet again. Bernardo now has the license to move forward, and you'll see that that will happen now. He'll start to progress forward, whilst Rodri and Stones hold that 2 shape. Again, we've gone back, so now we've gone back into that 4 almost. You'll see Stones is kind of deciding whether to become part of that defence or stay in the midfield, and he makes his mind up here to stay in that midfield position. He's alongside Rodri still. We've got that 3-2 shape as mentioned with the 4. So a bit more slow progression here, but similar things going on. Stones staying just in front of that defence. Obviously, once you're out of possession, they'll try and drop back as quick as they can into their normal setup. But in possession, if you're a team that likes to control the ball and you're a dominant side, this is the kind of thing that's going to be so good. Obviously, with that libero, with the inverted wing back, someone that's going to come in midfield, you don't want anyone doing it. You want someone that's got ability to play and play under pressure. You want someone that can pass, who's composed, someone that's, oh, great goal by Foden, by the way, there. But yes, you want someone that's going to be able to deal with that pressure of the midfield. Obviously, John Stones is great for it, but if you ask your Vanarama National League defender who's got 3 passing, 2 vision and 2 composure, I imagine it's going to fail terribly. I imagine positioning will come into play. That will also take priority when looking for a player to do these kind of roles. Either way though, if you have got the right players for it, it is very good to have. So there you have all the tactical stuff. They then break down some extra features that we're going to look at here. I'm not going to read all of the jargon, that won't mean too much to people, but basically they've changed the way that ball physics works and player intelligence. So let's have a look at these clips that we've got. Remember, like I say, when the game comes out, we'll have a full breakdown then of the full match engine. This is a work in progress right now. We obviously want to see what the game looks like outside of the clips that Sports Interactive have picked, but if this is a good representation of what we will get, everything is looking very promising. Now, obviously, we have the beta phase to try and iron out any bugs with Sports Interactive. You can say if there's a bug and they'll try and fix it before the full release, but it is good to see the things they have added. I really do think the tactical positional play is going to be something that a lot of people enjoy, and it will allow for a lot more tactical freedom, and the tactic recreations now for Guardiola are going to be, you know, all over the place. Everyone will be making them. Roberto De Zerbi, I imagine people will be trying to do a similar thing. But let's focus on this clip that we're seeing here. We're talking about player movement. This is just a general 1 minute clip or so, and you're trying to see the movement of players. They're supposedly more willing to receive the ball on the half turns into spaces, which allows you to progress the play a lot better, and combined with those defenders moving into midfield, it should allow for possession play to work really well. If you've got the players able to receive the ball on the half turns, turn into midfield from the defence and create some chances straight away, get the ball progressing up the pitch, we should see some great performances from your liberos, from your inverted wing backs. You'd assume everything they've said about better match intelligence will still apply to players in any role, not just these ones that we spoke about today. So we should be seeing better movement from our players, better decision making. They mentioned there's more authenticity and fluidity of their animations. Of course, this is the last year on this engine for Football Manager. Next year for FM25, it's all changing. But apparently we'll notice animation changes with running, jockeying, pointing, and as mentioned, players are more likely to receive the ball on the half turn now. In this clip here, we should supposedly see some more of these animations. I can't say I necessarily spotted them all straight away when I looked before, but we'll keep an eye out for it right now. Here we go. So we're playing the ball around nicely. We're looking for some new animations, some jockeying, some pointing. Like for me personally, I always say, and it's just because I'm not too like focused in on the match engine when I play, if you told me this was FM22 or FM21, I probably wouldn't know the difference straight away. It's only because I'm looking for it here. But what you do want to see is those upgrades every year, even if it is slight tweaks. We know that there's a big upgrade coming with FM25. But for those eagle-eyed players of the match engine, I'm sure you will notice the differences. I am seeing some new animations and whatnot, but I'm not saying I can see every single change. You'd have to watch these clips over and over again, and you kind of don't want to have to notice it, right? You just want this to feel a bit more natural, and that is something that they're definitely getting closer towards in Football Manager, and they've also done that by adjusting the way that the ball moves and ball physics. There's apparently more drag and air resistance on the ball now, and shot deflections and ball spin should look more realistic. This is an example of a shot deflection. You'll see we'll take the free kick short, I believe, or it comes out to someone around here. Here you go, we'll get knocked out. He then volleys it and it takes a deflection, and you'll see that it does actually kind of move a little bit more realistically. That isn't something we'd normally see in Football Manager, so cool to see they've got that. If we scroll down, there's also a better example of ball physics here. If I just make this 1080p yet again, no idea why it's trying to get me to watch everything in low quality, but we should see, oh, is this Chelsea? It's Chelsea, look at us go. I'm a Chelsea fan, so nice to see we can actually kick a ball for once, but you'll see the way the ball moves, it's spinning in a more natural way, supposedly. Let's watch that again when he switches to play, because it did kind of lag for a second there, but when he switches it, you'll see the way the ball spins. It's not just a direct lob over to him, it kind of curls out towards him. And then we've got the last clip that they've given us, which is my favourite of a lot, I think, outside of the positional play stuff. There's apparently more likely the chance that headers will go into the ground and you can volley the ball into the ground. Look how smooth this looks. So you're about to see a volley goal where he kicks it into the floor first, and it looks really cool here. Here you go, it flies over to him, nods back, he kicks it, goes into the ground and bounces up, and actually looks like a ball really would move, which sounds stupid to say about a game in, 2023. But, Football Manager hasn't always been known for this stuff. So to be able to see that ball hit the floor, bounce up and kind of gain some momentum and spin after hitting the floor, it is great. And I think, this is a huge upgrade on what we've had before. The animations and the ball movement, again, we're probably not going to notice massively, but that positional play stuff, if you are using it in your tactics, that's going to be a game changer, I think. It will be a lot of people's favourite reveal so far, particularly if you enjoy the tactics side of things. But I want to know what you think. Let me know in the comments. But most of all, have a great day, everybody. We've got the set pieces to break down soon, and I'll see you then.